My name's Michael. I'm LFK Accountability. I'm here tonight to define the problem for Brandon. We keep talking about all this stuff, and twice in the last 12 months, I've identified the problem to city commissioners in the CPRB. We spent the last year talking about accountability while there's been evidence of misconduct in your hands. 12 months of a review board being mired by process, 48 scheduled city commission meetings, 52 weeks that LPD admired behavior that the judiciary calls criminal. Would a custodial death spur any action? That's a real risk every time this happens. It's a pattern. I witnessed another disturbing scene where LPD failed to properly announce their presence at a domestic call, knocking without announcing for several minutes, then threw a man to the ground, causing injuries, detained him in a patrol unit without ever telling him why they were there. They discussed the investigation with muted body cams. No medical was called for the man that had been thrown to the ground, and they charged him with interfering. That was his only charge. This will happen again.
Sorry, someone seems to not be on mute.
Right now, or you're on the ground. Are you on the ground? Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, okay.
What did I do? You're on camera.
This will all happen again because physical assault is admirable, something the police are proud of. They've written it in emails to me. Complaints are dismissed, officers are not held accountable, and the gap gets wider. Accountability will come. Last month, the Fifth Circuit finally denied qualified immunity for this type of behavior. District attorneys are charging misconduct because the law demands it. Officers are going to prison because justice demands it. Local accountability can prevent officers from becoming inmates. Empower the CPRB beyond race. They need to review any complaint and require LPD's cooperation. Listen to the judge. This is a judge at the Michael Brillo trial.
This animosity toward the police is fed not just by stories that TV watchers and internet clickers are attracted to, but by police officers' affronts, intended or not, to honest people treated as criminals, by unnecessarily brutal treatment of suspected arrestees, by daily slights and disrespect, real and imagined, and by the isolation of the police from the people they serve.
My name is Michael, LFK Accountability. Last week I spoke about the need for police accountability. I want to look at why the police can't be trusted to police themselves. The trust is lost with illegal threats of arrest and jail by leaders. That trust is lost with shameless lies while wearing a badge. Listen carefully. That trust is lost with aggressive and illegal intimidation.
You need something? What I'm working on is getting this legal, see if we can get harassment, stalking, anything that's arrestable. You think that would be a good idea? I think it'd be wonderful. And then we could help each other out.
That trust is lost when complaints are consistently dismissed year after year.
That's 7 internal complaints and all 7 were sustained. There's 10 citizen complaints and not a single one of them were found to be sustained.
Wrongly accusing citizens of interfering and calling observers threats to officer safety. What trust is earned by that?
I don't know what your intentions are.
So you're going to stand by that somebody assumes that we have ill intent toward the police officer, we were going to harm them?
I'm telling you that I do not know what your intentions are.
We demanded sergeants get their people under control, individually, one at a time.
Stop your officer from beating up people and we won't be here.
Many supervisors knew exactly what we were doing and why.
You guys need to get rid of Brad Williams. But I think it's very clear what our problem is and what our mission is, and I think we've made it clear that we're not going away. I think you need to take that back into your department and tell them we're being respectful. It's all on video, Neff. Start being a part of the community.
Those leaders manipulated officers' fears, opened a corrupt criminal investigation, and put my safety at risk.
Why do you need to find out who I am? Okay, and there's you guys that want to kill us. Well, I don't want to kill you, so are we even now?
LPD has shown that those demanding accountability are seen as threats to officer safety, and they're treated as such. Bad actors are excused or allowed to quietly move on while their victims struggle to recover, and some never do. Stephen Watts submitted information about a warrior mindset. Do you know about killology or what it teaches? This is our community, not a battlefield.
How many brothers do you have out here? How many sisters? They mean less to you than a mental subject.
Experience has taught us that they can lawlessly do harm and be made righteous. There's years of distrust to discuss, but I've only got 3 minutes. My name is Michael, LFK Accountability. In my recent comments here, I've talked about the need for accountability and outside oversight of the Lawrence Police Department. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the history of the Office of Public Accountability. And Trent, I really wish you'd pay attention when we're talking about police. 52 years that the Blue Wall's been denying what's going on, and they're ignorant about the murders of Nick Rice and Rick Dowdle. While the current department isn't responsible for the mistakes of 1970, our problem today is a result of the past, both recent and distant. The last decade or so, that they are responsible for, and that includes the time that Mr. Washington sat in jail waiting for his justice. The information wasn't made easy to look for trends, so I rearranged the data and broadened the date range. Obvious patterns appeared. More than half of all complaints are from citizens. Over 100 since 2009, and only 19 sustained. One of the most glaring disparities, citizens' complaints that are sustained versus internal actions. Then there's the variety of classifications used to dismiss citizen complaints. They spread them out. I compared sustained OPA complaints to the Kansas C-Post records. This data is indicative of a manipulated OPA process. 2020 was a year of national disruption and distrust of law enforcement, and Lawrence Police reported only 6 complaints. State and national data trends upwards while LPDs went down. We were advised to beware of false positives in the new OPA reports. I suggest this is an attempt to manipulate your future analysis of the data that they show you. 60% of internal complaints are sustained, ones from police officers. Only 19% from citizens. Do you guys understand how improbable that result is? The false negatives that we've been misled by, denying 70% of citizen complaints is outside expected norms. Based on his comments at the CPRB meeting last week, I think Chief Lockhart likely agrees with that. Recategorizing citizen complaints, calling them cleared by exception, handling them at the patrol level, treating citizens like a threat. Then there's the pending file. Nothing is updated. These reports are such a priority that they don't update them until somebody calls them out on it. This is the totality of circumstances with the LPD and their OPA that we can't talk about. And just 3 more minutes of evidence that the LPD should not be trusted to police themselves. I've heard a number of times recently to talk about trust and to talk about accountability for the police. Tonight, the conversation changes because the lawless arrogance of the Lawrence Police Department was documented by their own hands. Discussions were refused by Interim Chief Anthony Brixis, and Troy Squire tried to handle us instead. After Troy found out we weren't so easy to handle, Anthony gave him a pep talk and sent him back. The next week, we became criminals, and their plan was disseminated to the rank and file. I've sent you the documents. The DA was even given a heads up that reports are on the way. These leaders thought they could get away with calling us stalkers and seeking a protection order against citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't hate the police. I hate their criminal arrogance and the behavior. We asked for a meeting to discuss the problems on the street. They refused, and they called us stalkers. If they had their way about it, we would have been arrested. And they even tried to involve the sheriff's department. And I don't even think the sheriff's department knew what was going on. I'm not giving you my words each week. I've shown you the proof from their own records. And I'm going to show you more. 42 United States Code 1985 is a conspiracy to interfere with civil rights. 2 or more persons conspiring for the purpose of depriving equal privileges and immunities under the laws. 2 or more. This was a department-wide effort. And there's no doubt. For the last year, all I've been showing you are acts in furtherance of this conspiracy. We have Sergeant Burns' threats and intimidation tactics in front of the Law Enforcement Center. Major Squire's sarcastic dismissiveness of complaints. The only thing I have left to discover is Lauren Summers' connection to all this as the prosecutor. They came after someone they thought was easy to handle and got it wrong. That was their mistake. All I'm doing is responding to it. And you want to know why I took this on, knowing the risks? It's because too many other people don't or can't or won't stand up and fight for themselves. And it emboldens the police to do it over and over and over again. Until you hold this department accountable, the things I've shown will keep happening over and over again. And I'll be back here every week exposing it, 3 minutes at a time.